Welcome back, everybody. Coming to you a little different place than I normally do. It is March 10th and this weather is just not breaking. We're still in the 30s this morning, but I want to start working on this spyder. I wanted to have it done by now. With it being so cold this year, I just haven't had the opportunity. So last time, what did I do? I installed the belt tensioner, and now I'm doing the shock. And I thought I've done one other thing, but I can't remember. So today we're doing the BRP 2-up shock. If you don't have any type of saddlebags on your spyder, it would make it a lot easier. But I have the shad saddlebags, and then I also have speakers back here, and I mounted them to the outside of the bracket. So the first thing I got to do is I have to pull the shad bags off. How that bracket bolts up, it bolts up from where your grip is, and then it also bolts up underneath where the plastic. So I'm going to get started. First thing we're going to do is just remove the shad saddlebags, and then I'm going to start removing brackets, and I will come in. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand on the camera and the other one taking apart the spyder, but I will try to document this the best I can. So I will see everyone in a few minutes. Okay, everybody, so what I've done is I simply removed the saddlebags and then removed the two big through bolts that go here and here. So this sits here, that's the grab handle. This goes here. Behind this, you will have washers. So don't lose those. That's why I pulled this up over the carpet. That way if anything falls, I'm not going to be looking for it in the grass. Those bolts, I believe, are a 5mm. And then we have two that go here. And they are 4mm. So we have 5mm, 4mm, and the reason why I have to take that off is I have to take this plastic off. So on to the next step. Have to do the exact same thing on the other side, and like I said, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with these speakers. I like them, but I think they're in the way back here. So I'm going to jump to the other side really quick and keep going on this install. Okay, so I have both brackets off. All the little plastic pieces that fit here. And this is just the inner fender. And you can see how many times I bottomed out and where the tires made contact with this. So that's why I'm upgrading the shock. One thing, when this thing sits up underneath there, you have to remove the back seat and take off that bolt and this bolt. And they are T30. So that's where I'm at now. You know, all the plastics are off. We can see the rear shock. So I'm going to get the jack and I'm going to jack the spyder up. And I'm going to take the tension off of this. While I'm under here, I'm going to look at the frame too. I know they had issues with the frames cracking on these, so they added a stiffener. So I'm just going to make sure everything looks good underneath here. And I really don't have a lot of time in this. You know, there's nothing too hard. You know, you just have some plastic pieces if you don't have saddlebags. And I'll show everybody where I jack it and how to remove this spring. So I'll see you here shortly. Okay, so we're switching from the action cam and I'm gonna go with my phone. That way I can kind of zoom in and show everybody. So here's the upper shock bolt. And then let's see if I can show you the lower. I have a huge glare issue, and there's the lower. So So I've talked about this in the past, how BRP is going with some standard bolts and some metric bolts. So the upper shock bolt and the lower shock bolt are both 15 millimeter. So, you know, once again, I don't understand why they do that, but, you know, they do. It's no big deal. So, see if I can get my fat fingers in there. And I've already loosened everything. And what you have to do is you have to jack up your spyder. I don't know if I can get it good. You jack it up on the frame. So there's a big channeled frame underneath this thing, and that's where you jack it up. And you just take enough pressure off of this shock to where you can slide out the bolt. So there's the upper. I don't even know what I did with that nut now. That's what happens when you're talking. And then I'm going to take the lower out, and then we're going to simply just pull that shock out. Okay, so I pulled the bolts out, and we're simply just going to lift the shock right out. And there we go. We have one shock. So let's see if I can show everybody this. So we have a little dampener, a little bump stop as you would. And what that does is when this shock compresses all the way, that piece of rubber helps you from destroying the shock. There's that shock. Okay, so here's the two shocks side by side. You can see that the shock is the same shock, same length, same everything. It's just the spring. We have the same travel. You know, we just have more coils on the one on the right than we do on the left. And also the coils on the right are a little bit bigger in diameter, so they should support a little bit more weight. And I've said this from the beginning, this is not the best shock to get, but it should work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a screwdriver, I'm going to put it in this upper eyelet, and I'm going to rotate it so it's the same direction, so I'm not fighting it inside the spyder. Okay, so these eyelets need to be parallel with one another, and mine was, let's see if I can do this one-handed here. I had one up and one horizontal with the ground. So I just stuck a screwdriver in there, stuck a screwdriver in here, put my foot on it, and just simply rotated it. You want those things to be absolutely parallel, that way you're not fighting them once you get in the spyder. So I'm going to correct this a little bit better, and then I'm going to put this shock in. Both bolts, you can see them right here on the right. Let me get my finger in there. Where's my finger? There it is. Those bolts are the upper and lower shock mounts. They are the exact same. When I got this shock, it was missing one of the nuts, so I picked up some red Loctite, and I'll just Loctite the lower one on, and we should be good to go. So let me get this in the spyder. And like I said, I'm going to use the new hardware, except for one of the nuts. One of the nuts was missing. So I've already installed the upper nut and bolt. And then you just slide it in and install the lower one. You tighten everything up and you repeat the steps putting it back together. This is actually, it's going a lot quicker than what I thought it would. I'm going to have more time cleaning up the rust on it, I do believe, than actually replacing the shock. So once I get it all together, we'll take it for a ride and we'll see how I like it. So I do want to thank you. I know this wasn't a true step-by-step how to replace this rear shock, but there's no way for me to mount a camera, to hold a camera, to show everybody. Just remember to support the weight of the vehicle on the front channeled frame. Loosen your shock, take it out. I mean, it's just nuts and bolts, simple nuts and bolts. You know, everything has a place and it has captured nuts, so it makes it pretty easy. You know, 1 out of 10. If that tensioner was a 1, You know, I'd give this a 3, maybe a 4. It's not difficult at all, to be honest with you. So I'm going to get this wrapped up, get this Spyder cleaned up so I can go for a ride. It is starting to warm up, which excites me greatly. So everybody take it easy. I'll try to put this video together to where it makes sense. And hopefully it does when I'm done. So everybody take it easy, and I'll see you in a couple days.